How can you support your father? How do you support him moving forward?
The courtroom was full. Reporters, cameras, and people watching closely. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next in Diddy's big trial. Then everything changed. The judge gave a signal. A new piece of evidence was about to be played. It was an audio recording. And when the judge announced whose voice was on it, the whole room went silent. It was Diddy's
tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Is because he's cooperating with authorities to take Jay down with him. Kathy White was Jay-Z's side piece. Kathy was an up-and-coming industry publicist, fitness, and beauty expert when she mysteriously died at 28. Jay-Z was seeing her on the down low and got her pregnant. So according to a journalist, Kathy was going to tell the tabloids everything for the right price, but Jay found out and got her murked. Diddy is allegedly set to release the details of how Jay-Z unalived his mistress. Jaguar Wright hints that both the Carters might be responsible, but one of them is more responsible than the other, and she wonders if it's possible Beyoncé's temper is a little worse than most people think, and Jay had to clean it all up for
Diddy's face went pale. The audio started playing and what people heard shocked everyone. Christian was heard clearly, talking about private things that happened in Diddy's homes and parties. He talked about the guests, the private flights, and even mentioned people being paid to stay quiet. And the worst part? His words made it sound like Diddy was behind it all. First, Diddy sat frozen. He sipped water, stared at the table, tried to stay calm. But as the recording went on, his hands started shaking. His eyes filled with rage.
And when the judge did, Diddy, who was sitting at the defense table with his attorneys, did not show any signs of emotion. He took a sip of water before he was led out of the courtroom by the U.S. Marshals. Now, his lawyers have vowed to fight this. They are going to be back in court on Wednesday before the judge who will oversee this trial and try to get Diddy to be released.
With authorities to take Jay down with him. Kathy White was Jay-Z's side piece. Kathy was an up-and-coming industry publicist, fitness, and beauty expert when she mysteriously died at 28. Jay-Z was seeing her on the down low and got her pregnant. So according to a journalist, Kathy was going to tell the tabloids everything for the right price, but Jay found out and got her murked. Diddy is allegedly set to release the details of how Jay-Z unalived his mistress. Jaguar Wright hints that both the Carters might be responsible, but one of them is more responsible than the other, and she wonders if it's possible Beyoncé's temper is a little worse than most people think, and Jay had to clean it up.
Well, Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agreed.
This wasn't just a son talking. It sounded like someone who knew how everything worked behind the scenes, and now he was spilling the truth. Some people think Christian gave the audio to avoid jail himself. Others say he just couldn't lie anymore. Either way, the damage was done. Diddy's team quickly tried to explain the outburst. They said he was shocked, hurt, and felt betrayed. One of his lawyers told reporters, he's not just dealing with a trial. He's dealing with his own son turning against him.
Mr. Combs feels A, he's innocent, which is why he's not going to plead guilty. B, he's going to be truthful about this case because he wants to portray that to the people who have loved him his whole life. And I think he also feels an obligation to people in general. Maybe it's black people, maybe it's white people, maybe it's anybody who's ever felt aggrieved and targeted by the government. He feels an obligation to those people to say, you know what, maybe I can break the model. Maybe I can show the world that a black man can win, in federal court. And I think he probably is the only person I know of who might be able to actually accomplish.
Social media exploded. New York Diddy breakdown and Christian speak started trending. Fans were split. Some stood with Christian, saying he was brave to tell the truth. Others called him a snake for testifying against his dad. Meanwhile, Christian stayed quiet. But insiders say, this is just the beginning. There may be more audio, more evidence, and possibly more family members getting involved. This trial isn't just about money or fame anymore. It's about a father and son, torn apart. Diddy once had everything: fame, power, respect. But now, the same people who helped him rise are the ones bringing him down. And after what happened in court, it's
Hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings.
say this breakdown could hurt his case even more. Judges don't like when defendants lose control in court. As the trial continues, all eyes are on Christian. Will he take the stand next? Will he speak more about what really happened behind closed doors? And can Diddy pull himself together before it's too late? One thing is clear. When Diddy heard that audio, he didn't just hear his son's voice. He heard the sound of his empire falling apart. And in that moment, in front of everyone, he lost it. This case is far from over. But now the world has seen a side of Diddy they'll never forget. A father betrayed, a son speaking out, and a courtroom moment that shocked the world.
Jaguar Wright is a well-known whistleblower. She has predicted many of the crimes Diddy is charged with today. Now, as of recent, she had an interview with Piers Morgan, and she did say that Jay-Z and Beyoncé were implicated with Diddy. Now, let me know your opinion on the things she's sharing about Jay-Z and Beyoncé.
I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well.
She's referring to Jay-Z, Sean Carter.
They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim
Keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane, unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about.
So essentially what she's trying to say is that Jay-Z and Beyoncé
revenge against the Carters, allegedly due to their perceived lack of support during his legal battles. It seems he's on a mission to embarrass them at any cost. Adding fuel to the fire, an unsettling audio clip allegedly featuring Meek Mill and Diddy has surfaced, courtesy of Diddy's former bodyguard.
He snapped. Diddy suddenly stood up, yelling loudly. He pointed at the speakers playing the audio. "This is a setup," he shouted as his lawyers tried to pull him back. "He's my son. This is lies." Gasps filled the courtroom. Reporters started typing fast. The judge hit the gavel trying to bring order, but Diddy wouldn't sit down. He was shouting over everyone, saying he was being betrayed and framed. Finally, U.S. Marshals had to escort him out of the courtroom. It was a moment no one expected, from the once calm music mogul. Outside the courtroom, people were already calling it Diddy's breakdown. So what was on that audio that hit him so hard? Sources say Christian talked about events only someone very close to Diddy would know. He mentioned secret conversations,
Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. If I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, "Marry who?" And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He's saying, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now, but y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay-Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something, but that's all people have. Now in Jay-Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved. And the same could be said for all the other people he was around. He could have thought, oh, R. Kelly's huge right now. Let me do an album with him to boost my name up. Many people have come out saying Jay-Z is a cutthroat businessman, kind of like Bill Gates, who I actually think is a sociopath, but that's a story for another day. And cutthroat businessmen will cross any line and work with anyone to get what they want. Because at the end of the day, to them, it's just business. That being said, that doesn't make this a good thing. That's why Jay-Z can still be prosecuted for watching crimes happen but not saying anything about it. At the end of the day, as you probably know, Jay-Z is rich. He's not going to jail for that. It would need an insane amount of evidence, and even then, he would still probably get off. But that doesn't really matter in some cases. A lot of times, reputation is the most important thing. So a lot of times, the courts will take a case they know they can't win or sign a deal just to get the rumor mill started and get people going, yo, why did Bill Cosby sign a deal? For those of you that don't know, Bill Cosby was arrested like 20 years before the big, allegations came out. They told him, just tell us you did it and we won't broadcast this. He said, absolutely. I need to save my reputation. People started asking questions. Boom, boom, boom. 20 years later, he goes to jail. But he actually did get out because the cops did say they were going to keep his confession low key, but then they used it against him 20 years later. But anyway, back to Jay-Z. At the end of the day, this could go any way. The thing is, Diddy's sloppy. He was bound to get caught. Jay-Z, not sloppy. So he would be a tough one to catch. But on the other hand, the FBI is pretty good at their jobs. And remember that lawyer from earlier that's going against Diddy and is gathering all those names on his alleged accomplices? Well, he also said that he gave a lot of his information to the FBI. And if Jay-Z's name pops up, he's in trouble, because how the FBI works is they'll take that information and they'll put it in a little vault with all the other information they might have on Jay-Z. When it's enough to lock him up, that's when they'll come out. So if you see the words FBI and Jay-Z in the same